Yes, our nation will be swearing in the 45th President of the United States in 4 days on Friday, January 20th. Congressman Mike Turner will be there, but he stopped by here first before you head out of town tomorrow to get back to D.C. You're also at the parade, the MLK
I am. Thank you for having me
event
on Martin Luther King Day. It was good to be down at the Convention Center and speaking to everyone at the accomplishments that we have as a community. We really are a community that comes together. Our recognition of the issues of justice and equality are not just on Martin Luther King Day. In Dayton, I truly believe that leadership tries to work for those issues every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. As we head into January 20th, you'll be there in D.C. What stands out to you heading into the presidential inauguration Friday of Donald Trump?
You know, there's a great deal of excitement in Washington right now, and it's based upon the fact that he has a very aggressive agenda that's a legislative agenda. He wants to move the economy forward. He wants to rebuild the military. That's going to be important to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. He has a number of items that he wants to modernize to make certain that we have the best military in the world. Those, many are being managed at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, so there's a lot of excitement as to what might happen with the programming that's there. And also the issues of, how to move the country forward again. This is going to be a bipartisan discussion. Since the president has a legislative agenda, the Senate will be involved. The Senate needs 60 votes. That means it's got to be bipartisan, Republican Senate to come together. I think this is going to be a very important time for our country.
Speaking of that legislative agenda, last week Congress took the first step into dismantling the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare also called. What does that exactly mean? What does that exactly look like? What is the timeline we're talking about here? This is a major topic right now, and one of the first acts for Congress right now.
Absolutely. There are a number of political spins on this that are just misinformation. First off, no one who's a senior should worry at all about their Medicare coverage or any medical coverage that they have. Obamacare is both a complex program, but it's also one that impacts all of us, even those who have health insurance through the employers are impacted. And it's about dismantling the regulatory aspect that makes insurance more expensive. The elements of Obamacare that are principles that we need to maintain certainly are making certain that no one who has pre-existing conditions excluded from health care coverage. The ability of parents to keep their kids on their health insurance till 26. The ability of people to obtain insurance even if they're unemployed and to get assistance with that. But I think there's some exciting opportunities to change the law to provide portability where you can take your health insurance from one employer to the other. Competition across state lines. Right now that's prohibited. That can help lower costs. There's a number of things that we can do.
I guess just what would you say to somebody who gets their health insurance coverage right now through the exchanges, through the federal health care exchanges? If they're sitting at home right now and they say, that's how I get my health care. What do I need to know? Am I going to be out of health insurance?
That's a really good point. I actually get my health insurance through the exchanges. Congress itself is put through the exchanges, and they should know that Congress is not going to take any action that's going to result in people not receiving health care coverage. It's about increasing coverage, lowering costs, making certain that we take the portions of Obamacare that were intrusive, where people lost their doctors and weren't able to keep their doctors even though that was the promise, making those changes that we can get back to a system that is patient-centered.
Okay, and really quick, you mentioned Wright-Patterson Air Force Base at the top of our interview. I know you've stated that one of your top priorities is repealing sequestration. That's a big word with a big impact, but it could have a big impact here at home too. So will we see action on that this year?
Well, thank you so much for mentioning that one. I voted against sequestration, as you know, and it resulted in about 12,000 people being furloughed at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and every year annual cuts to our military. Trump has said that he's for repealing sequestration. I'm working on the House floor to try to get the votes together to make certain that we do that on the House side. It will really make it important for both Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and our ability to fund the military that we need.
All right, Congressman Mike Turner, heading out to D.C., but stopping by here first. Really appreciate your time, as always.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Mark.